it's very interesting. Practicing in Los Angeles, which is multicultural, is a unique experience because some cultures don't like to tell the patient how sick they are. And I think patients have a right to know what's happening to them or if they're near death. But some cultures, they don't feel that that's a good idea. On the other hand, in Latin culture, the entire family comes to every visit. Yeah. And so I have to pull more chairs in the room. And so those patients do so much better. And then I see people who have no support system. They're single, they live alone, they're in a city, they don't have a lot of friends, and they go through it by themselves, So we know that we're social animals, and so being in a support group, even if it's an online group, makes a difference to your stress hormones and your sense of belonging and your sense of not being alone going through something like this. So a lot of patients who are very independent, self-sufficient people, their learning curve is to ask for and receive help.
Yes, exactly. That's like their goal.
That's part of their healing. Right?
That's part of their healing.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Even just like I know for my type, I don't want to bother anyone, especially if I'm not feeling well. So God forbid I would have to do chemo. There's a part of me that would probably be like, no. I'll have a driver take me, but I just want to do it myself. I don't want anyone to see me like that or be around people when I'm not feeling well because then I won't be at my best or whatever. And so many people just say it's so helpful and important to have someone there holding your hand.
It is.
And we talk about that in HEAL. Just the research is that social support increases life by like over 50%.
It's dramatic. Yeah.
So on that same thing, and this could be a total far out there idea, but just some of the spontaneous healing, stories that I've heard. One guy was sent home to die. He was actually a Chinese man, terminal stage 4 cancer, and he started playing his violin again, and he started watching the sunrise because he just wanted to soak up life and do the things he enjoyed. One of the things was like he just made sure to drink clean water, and he had this vision that like cancer cells are his human cells.
Yes,
they are part of him.
Yes, they are.
And they are isolated, just like they go AWOL, right? They're cut off from that community.
Yes.
And then they become, a little bit of a terrorist. And you see this with people in society now doing really awful things, and they're mentally ill. They're isolated. So I feel like there is some correlation between the isolation that's a precursor to disease and dying in humans, and then also on the cellular level, the human cells that are isolated and then become this terrorist. And so part of this guy's recovery, I can't remember his name, but was really just visualizing and loving his cancer cells and really embracing them, whereas the Western model, we just want to kill, attack. Right. So I thought that was such a beautiful story, and I wonder if you have any thoughts or insights about that.
Well, it sort of reminds me of, if you want to be an integrated, healthy, whole person, you have to embrace your shadow, and not reject anything, right? You have to actually digest the food that's on your plate. And so understanding that, in truth, a cancer cell is your cell that went haywire.
It's part of you.
And lost its way. And so that's a really different relationship to slash and burn, and rejection and push away, And so think of the difference in the state that you're in when you feel open, loving, and accepting, to whereas you feel frightened and you have to get rid of something. You can't tolerate it. So, your body, the tension in your body, your breath, your heart rate, but then your stress hormones. Stress hormones have such a huge impact on our immune capacity. And that is really what we have to fight cancer with. That's what we have.
Are there any new, what's your idea about, or opinion about immunotherapy? Because in principle, it sounds amazing where it's drugs that boost our immune system to fight. So
it's very idealistic and magical thinking, dangerous. So what immunotherapy is, the word immunotherapy is an umbrella for a number of methods and techniques that have been developed to, the immune system has brakes on it. And so if you take the brakes off and free up the immune system, it can go after tumor cells. But autoimmune disease is a condition in which the immune system doesn't know how to put the brakes on, right? So the side effects of immunotherapies are autoimmune diseases. Mm-hmm. And so my opinion is there is great potential, because I have seen people be dramatically cured of cancers like pancreatic cancer that people die of in 6 months. We don't know what to do for them. And I've seen people, like lung cancer has been transformed by targeted and immunotherapy drugs. Everyone with a lung cancer diagnosis used to die. And now that's not true. Now that's not true.
That's amazing.
So if you live with a little skin rash in exchange for your life, there's trade-offs for everything in life. So what I've tried to do, because immunotherapies are very new still, and so we're not very skillful with them, and so the idea is to unleash the immune system to go after the tumor cells. But what we want is kind of a nice ember coal, kind of just a comfortable warming. But some people get a forest fire, right? And so those are the people that get into trouble with it. And my experience is that most oncologists, all oncologists, have no training in autoimmune disease. And so they don't know what to do when this happens to their patient because they're not prepared. And so I had a very wonderful conversation with an oncologist whom I absolutely adore. And we were sharing a patient whom he gave an immunotherapy to, and she developed autoimmune colitis, inflammation of the colon, as a side effect. And he kept wanting to give her these high doses of prednisone, which is a steroid. And I just said, no. So he gave it to her, and then he wanted to take her right off it. I said, no, you can't do that, and we're going to do it slowly, and then we're going to put these herbs in. And finally, we're going around in a circle of emails. He finally said, just do whatever Nalini says. Because he realized he didn't know.
Yeah.
But I had training in that.
Yeah.
I knew how to manage autoimmune disease, how to get somebody off steroids.
Yes.
Right? And so that's why a partnership is so beautiful. Collaborative relationships. My whole mission in transforming the face of cancer care is to create collaborative teams that talk to each other, that know
open.
that, if you have any kind of mastery over anything in your life, you don't do some things well. Do that thing really well.
Correct.
So a really masterful oncologist is amazing. But some of them know what they don't know, and some, will act like they know everything. And so that's dangerous. That's dangerous in medicine. It's dangerous for the patient, but it makes you not collaborate also.
Yep.
It makes you not listen to your patient, So my vision is that there are collaborative teams, and at the moment of diagnosis, the patient not only has the best of whatever, if they need an oncologist that has mastery in chemo or immunotherapy, or they need a really skillful surgeon to go in their brain and take out some small lesion that will grow if we don't do that. So we need people who are really skilled. And you and I live in LA, where there's amazing doctors. There are amazing doctors here who are compassionate and skilled and open and forward-thinking and collaborative. So that's what I wish for everyone. I have oncologists I've worked with for 30 years, for 30 years, who know it makes a difference. They know it makes a difference. I have oncologists, when they're done doing their part, the chemo or the radiation, the immunotherapy, when they're done with that, they say to the patient, don't stop seeing Nalini, right? Because we know that we can prevent recurrence, or just make it be a really long time until you have a recurrence, and then we catch it microscopic. So your first job when you're diagnosed is to reduce your tumor burdens. You have to figure out how you're going to do that. If you have to have a toxic therapy, I will help you get through that, protect your healthy tissues and organs and recover. You can recover from these therapies. So you can't recover from death. So you have to understand
It's a bit harder.
what the stakes are, right?
Yeah.
You know, but oncologists aren't frank with patients.
Thank you for listening to the Heal podcast. Be sure to tune in for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. Oh, and make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And if you feel inspired, we would love you to rate and review us so that we have the opportunity to reach more people. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram for some behind the scenes fun and more inspiration at @HealDocumentary and @KellyGorris. Thank you so much and be well.